This is video 1 of 3 showing you how to wind the bobbin or load the bobbin on the Baby Lock Rachel machine. You'll start by having your machine all ready to go. Mine's plugged in and set. And so now what I need to do is take the spool pin cover off of my spool pin. I'm just going to set that aside for just a second. I'm going to make sure that I have an empty bobbin, the correct bobbin for this machine, and I will pop that down on the bobbin winder. The next thing I'm going to do is take my spool of thread. I'm going to find the end of the thread, make sure that it's loose, and then I'm going to put the spool onto the spool pin. If you lose that sticker, it's no big deal. And then I'm going to replace the cover, put it back on the spool pin loosely so that it doesn't squeeze the thread too tight. You want it to still be able to unwind. Alright, I'm going to take the thread through a series of thread guides. You have a diagram on the top of your machine that helps you out. You're going to follow the dotted lines for bobbin winding. So my first spot is the silver hook. My thread's going to go underneath it. You kind of hear it make a little pop sound. That's spot 1. Right over here, there's a little plastic piece. Your thread's just going to go underneath that. And that's kind of like a 1.5. It's headed towards 2. So my third position, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. If you look right here, there is a small hook on top of this screw thread guide. So I'm going to take the thread right next to it, and then I'm going to go around that hook towards the back, and then around the back of this screw-shaped thread guide. I'm going to put my finger down on the thread. It slipped out of place. So I'm going around that hook, back behind it, and underneath that screw looking one. So I'm holding my finger down on the thread so that it pulls tight. Okay, I'm almost done. So I have it through all the thread guides. The next thing I need to do is follow the diagram again. I'm going over to number 3. This shows me putting my thread behind the back side of the bobbin, and then I'm going to just loop it around about 3 or 4 times. There's 1, 2, 3, here's the 4th time. The last thing it shows me, number 4, is placing that end of that thread underneath this hook right here. So I'll put the thread under there, and I'm just going to give it a little tug until it breaks the thread. It's going to clip it for me. I slide the bobbin winder into the locked position, which is over to the right, and that forces my machine out of sewing mode into bobbin winding mode. So the next thing I need to do is just put my foot on the foot pedal, and the bobbin will start to wind up. It's going to wind up and down like this, up and down evenly, and you'll want to watch to see that your bobbin is loading properly. If it has wrinkles or if it has puckers in it, you'll just want to take your foot off the pedal and stop loading it, because if it is loading improperly, you'll have to throw all that thread away. So I'll put my foot right back down, gonna load it all the way up. You'll know your bobbin is through winding when the machine starts to kind of lock up on you. It really slows down, and that's just telling you it's done, it's loaded, and you just have to take your foot off the pedal to be finished. For the sake of time, I am going to go ahead and call this one done. Just gonna lift my foot up off the pedal. When your bobbin is completely loaded and you're done, you will just pop it back over to the left-hand side with just a little push, and then I'm going to lift the bobbin up off the winder, and then now I either can use the thread cutter on the side of my machine or a pair of scissors to clip the thread loose from the spool. And that is it for winding a bobbin.